Kazakhstan established and developed relationships with more than 140 countries worldwide. The country is a member of over 60 international organizations. Kazakhstan is an open and friendly partner, the initiator of the various integration processes in the world community, always ready to create the conditions for global dialogue. Global Talk 25, the results of the international forum Kazakhstan's Path to Space. Forum Kazakhstan's Path to Space, Realities and Prospects 2017. Cooperation of Kazakhstan with Russia and Hungary. The 60th anniversary of the launch of the first artificial Earth satellite was marked in Kazakhstan by the international forum Kazakhstan's Path to Space, Realities and Prospects 2017. This year the event is held for the 5th time. More than 500 representatives of space agencies and state bodies, famous scientists, specialists of leading world companies in the field of space technologies from more than 18 countries of the world gathered at the site. Among the guests of honor of the forum are the people's hero of Kazakhstan, the hero of Russia, the pilot cosmonaut, the deputy of the Senate of the Parliament of Kazakhstan, Talgat Musabayev. For the first time this year, the organizer of the international scale event was the Ministry of Defense and Aerospace Industry of the Republic of Kazakhstan. And earlier a forum was organized for the national company Kazakhstan Garage Sapere. The forum discussed the results of the development of Kazakhstan's space industry. Only for 7.5 years Kazakhstan overcame, in the development of space activities, a path equal to several decades for many countries developing their space activities. And do you see concrete results today? If we started when the president asked me to lead the Space National Agency 10 years ago, I came and committee consisted of only 16 people. Today you see the result. This is the result of the activities of the Space Agency. As the speakers noted in their speeches, together with their Russian counterparts, the concept of further development of this complex was adopted.
Ключевым проектом концепции является проект «Байтерек».
The key project of the concept is the Байтерек project for the creation of a new environmentally friendly missile complex. This project has already started this year. We're planning to launch the new complex in 2022, and we have begun our work with the Russian partners.
В 2022 году и с российскими партнерами начали работу.
The prospects of the development of space technologies and the issues of attracting investments into Kazakhstan's space activities were also discussed. Participants of the event exchanged views on enhancing the environmental safety of the Baikonur Cosmodrome, participated in masterclasses on the effective application of Earth remote sensing data. At the summit we found out about the nearest plans in the domestic industry. In this territory of the National Center, we're building an assembly and testing complex with a special design and technology bureau with production experience. We are delivering the design and technology bureau at the end of this year. The assembly and testing complex will be put into operation next year. And this building is located in the zone of active construction of production zone. We have another zone of administrative and cultural living. That is, we must think about the staff too. We face the task of building housing for our employees of the Museum of Space Science. The international forum ended with the signing of the final resolution of the event and a number of official documents with partners. Meanwhile, cooperation between Russia and Kazakhstan today is realized not only in the space industry, but also in education. An interesting initiative of the neighboring country is an international project, within the framework of which the state gives books to its partners. In this regard, the Solzhenitsyn House donated 300 books of fiction to the library of Narikpaev, which should help our students become spiritually enriched, to receive modern knowledge of the Russian language, about its features. Let's say a professionally oriented Russian language, especially in the development of business letters, especially in the context of the development of Russian culture in Kazakhstan.
особенно в контексте развития русской культуры в Казахстане.
Students, teachers, and management of KazGU University, representatives of the Embassy of the Russian Federation, Solzhenitsyn House of Russians Abroad, and the Russian Center of Culture and Science in Astana participated in the event. The initiator of this event was Solzhenitsyn House, and they invited us to participate. The fact is that the Russian Center, together with the Russian Embassy, are getting ready to celebrate Solzhenitsyn's centenary for this anniversary, because Solzhenitsyn is a world-famous writer recognized by the world. And he is connected with Kazakhstan. He was in exile here, and many pages of his works are dedicated to Kazakhstan, or his memories of Kazakhstan. Therefore, for us, this is a very important event. I think for Kazakhstan too. At the presentation at the university, students spoke. They read poems of Russian poets. Also at the event, a documentary about the activities of the House of Russians Abroad and its important mission to develop cultural cooperation between countries was shown. You probably understand that knowledge of the culture and history of the partner country is very important for mutual understanding. It is important in order to strengthen the dialogue, and naturally, if we know each other better, then our mutual contacts, both in the economic sphere and the legal sphere, improve. It benefits the foreign policy. This is natural. Therefore, culture is the basis of everything. Today what you saw here is actually the quintessence of what is happening today in the various scientific communities of Russia and Kazakhstan. We're trying to integrate into a single information space, within the framework of the EAEU or outside of it. The most important thing is that we're trying to get involved in the knowledge that in fact is relevant not only in Kazakhstan, but also in Russia and other countries of the world. As noted in KazGU, interaction with the House of Solzhenitsyn began long ago. Since the university library is public, its doors are open not only to university students, but also to all comers, and the parties are not going to stop on this. Today we discussed several things. The first is that the library is located on 2 floors. Accordingly, in this way, it is possible in the future the House of Russians Abroad will take part in the formation of its own cabinet of the Russians abroad in the Maksut Narikbayev Library. On the first floor, for this we are now freeing the fund, and I think if the House of Russians Abroad agrees to this, that would be very good. And the university plans to adopt the methodology of searching for electronic literature, so that the readers of the university library have access not only to printed publications. Now in its fund, there are about 1 million sources together with electronic books. The rich fund of the Narikbayev Library, in the opinion of KazGU representatives, can be useful not only to Kazakhstani organizations and universities with which the university actively interacts, but also foreign library collections, which the university plans to enter through the House of Russians Abroad. Now the Solzhenitsyn House creates a museum of the Russians abroad. The opening of the exhibition center is planned to coincide with the centenary of the world-famous writer in 2018. Another country with which Kazakhstan actively interacts is Hungary. The results of bilateral cooperation were announced at a solemn reception in honor of the National Day of Hungary, which was celebrated by the Hungarian Embassy in Astana. The event was attended by representatives of the government of Kazakhstan, heads of diplomatic missions of foreign countries in Kazakhstan, and other guests. Our countries celebrate the 25th year of diplomatic relations this year. In fact, of course, we're also connected with historical relations, the common roots of the Kipchaks and Magyars. We never forget this. Nevertheless, I would like to note that Hungary is our strategic partner in the Central Eastern Europe. A document on strategic partnership has been signed between our countries, and it's not just empty words. A strategic council has been created, headed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kazakhstan and the Minister of Economy of the Hungarian Republic. This council meets regularly and conducts work to expand our political, trade, and economic relations. By the way, trade between the countries has increased significantly. Now in Kazakhstan, there are 50 Hungarian companies with the participation of Hungarian capital. We are very proud that as the only partner of Kazakhstan, in 2016 we registered an increase of 16% in our bilateral trade and reached a mark of $188 million. And already by results of 6 months of 2017, we almost doubled this result and reached already $350 million. Most of the exports to Hungary are energy, but there are also excellent results of diversification of goods from our country. One such example is the creation of the National Economy Fund. It was launched last year. Its amount is $40 million and investments from two countries on equal parity basis, and it will just invest in projects that are of mutual interest, especially in the sphere of production and processing of agricultural products with subsequent export. Despite the short period of existence of the joint fund, interim results have been achieved by the current period. The first agreement has already been signed just a few days ago. Until the end of the year, 2 more agreements will be signed about specific financing of projects. Here we're talking about the poultry farm and the greenhouse farm in the Kostanay region, in the North Kazakhstan region. These are unique agrarian projects, and thus the fund starts its real work. At the solemn reception, Mr. Ambassador congratulated Kazakhstan on the successful holding of Expo 2017. The pavilion of the Central European country managed to attract 300,000 visitors during the exhibition, and despite the fact that the Expo in Astana ended, its results continue to bear fruit. On behalf of President Nursultan Nazarbayev, the government has studied all the innovations and technologies that have been presented by different countries at the exhibition and is now working on the implementation of these technologies. I know already that the Finnish technologies are allowed to measure air quality or the Hungarian technologies that were presented in their pavilion. This is the process, and in my opinion, about 100 of such technological innovations that will be implemented in our economy.
Как минимум, по-моему, около сотни таких технологических инноваций, которые будут имплементироваться в нашей экономике.
As Mr. Ambassador explained, one of the technologies that aroused interest from the government of Kazakhstan is a special absorbent powder. There is another interesting Hungarian innovation from the exposition.
Изобретение венгерского стартапа, которое было представлено не только в нашем павильоне, но и в специализированном...
The invention of the Hungarian startup, which was presented not only in our pavilion, but also in a specialized pavilion called Best Practices Area. This Hungarian patio startup, they invented a walkway for sidewalks that is based on solar panels. Plus, if you move around it, it also generates energy. There, this is very effective and not so expensive technology. We already have the first section of a certain street in Budapest paved with a similar tile.
Эффективна и не столь дорогая технология. У нас уже первый участок определенной улицы в Будапеште вымощен именно вот этими вот плитками.
This is not all the advantages of holding an international exhibition in Astana for both countries. The direct flight, which was timed to the beginning of the expo, has been functioning successfully even up to now.
Мы постоянно встречаемся с венграми, которые спонтанно приехали в Астану.
We are constantly meeting with Hungarians who've come either by business or simply to see Astana. So this clearly indicates the growth of passenger traffic. And of course, as I also mentioned, the information from the airline Wizz Air, Astana Budapest, this is a newly launched flight of the company that started with the best results on the occupancy of passengers. Even the very first flights have already been filled by 80-85%. Recently, they have more than 95% of occupancy.
5% по наполняемости, в последнее время у них уже более 95%.
Another excellent example of bilateral cooperation is the mutual exchange of students. As part of the government agreement, the number of Kazakhstanis who have already traveled to Hungary for study since September 1st has increased to 200 people. Another good news for Hungary was announced at the reception. Thanks to the positive decision of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Turkic-speaking countries that was held in New York in September of this year, Hungary was accepted as an observer in the International Turk Academy.
And I'm very proud that the other day on Friday, I was lucky enough to present the President of Hungary the Order of Merit to the President of International Turkic Academy, to His Excellency Mr. Darhan Kadirali. Once again, I congratulate you.
Еще раз поздравляю вас.
One of the most urgent areas of international cooperation in the context of the globalization of all possible processes is the mass media. The regional forum, Use of Digital Technologies in the Content of Kazakhstani TV Channels, organized by the Thomson Foundation in partnership with the Public Foundation Legal Media Center with the financial support of the Embassy of Great Britain in Kazakhstan, was held in Astana for the first time. Representatives of 20 TV channels from all over Kazakhstan and other media experts gathered at the venue.
Это большой проект, который
This is a big project that started just from this forum. There are two goals to improve the work of regional TV channels. We try to do everything possible to bring them closer to international standards so that they use modern technologies.
к международным стандартам, чтобы они использовали современные технологии.
It is noteworthy that the main speakers at the forum were international experts with experience in large television corporations. For example, Zoe Charles, who made a presentation, Media Campaigns and Special Projects, has 25 years of experience in multimedia journalism, including in managerial positions. This topic is very important because it seems to me that our audience often lacks such journalism when it is possible to delve into the topic, when to find something interesting, and tell about it in detail. Very often in journalism, especially in the news, we jump on top, we talk a little bit about different things, and the special projects are an opportunity to thoroughly deal with a certain topic. And this is the journalism that is often needed today. Another media expert in the field of TV and internet broadcasting, Katerina Kobernik, spoke about the possibilities of new platforms for news delivery. We have quite a lot of experience in combining television and internet resources into one converged newsroom. This is now popular and in demand in Ukraine because the young audience is known to flow into the internet. And in order not to lose it, television is trying to actively develop the internet content. Representatives of regional TV channels enjoyed listening to their colleagues' experiences, asking questions and receiving answers. For example, the biggest trend, according to media experts, is multimedia, TV channels, internet broadcasting, and of course, social networks. It is also important to communicate with your audience in various interesting formats. Let's just say the main rule is not to try to make equally interesting TV content for both the internet and television. We need to be able to adapt the content for the internet, and the internet content is redone for TV. The difference is that adapting and producing content for the internet needs to maximally squeeze budgets because the internet is always cheap in terms of technical performance. And this is normal for the whole world. As noted at the forum, these sites are very important for multi-vector international cooperation. This gives us such an option to compare how and what is happening in different countries of the world. Now there is such an interesting trend called journalism of solutions. Again, this is based on the fact that journalists are very often associated with the problem. They found the problem, talked about it, and forgot about it and ran away. When the journalists found a problem, for example, at the local level, and said, for example, but you know, in the neighboring area, they had the same problem and they decided it this way. Let's tell how it was solved. This is the positive side that we can bring to the audience. It's also very important for the audience. This regional forum is only the part of a large project of organizers. Next, we have planned 4 intensive training events in different regions. These are 4-day masterclasses with the participation of BBC experts who will teach how to use mobile phones to create material. It will be a 4-day practice. It will not be a lecture, but everyone will practice how to make high-quality, interesting materials, how to quickly broadcast them using a mobile phone. The public foundation, Legal Media Center, also cooperates with UNICEF on the objective coverage of children's rights and with other international organizations.